Before we move on to the video, there's some things you need to know. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. I'm not a member of law enforcement or the military. I'm not an economist or a therapist. I'm not an expert at anything that has any actual value, either monetary or intellectual. Most of what you're going to hear in my videos are going to be my opinions with some facts stuck in just to keep it interesting. So viewer skepticism is strongly recommended. And now, your feature presentation. Hello, and welcome to the Aware Hair channel. And this is the first video associated with that channel. And I was hoping to have everything perfect before I launched my first video, or at least perfect to the point to where I wasn't using my green screen as a tablecloth. But after watching a multitude of instructional videos on YouTube about how to launch your video channel and how to be successful at it, they all seem to say the same thing, which was just get your first video shot and get it out there. Don't worry about it being perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's probably not going to be any good, but get it out there. You will get better. So if you're expecting a highly polished professional video, you're going to be horribly disappointed. If, on the other hand, you're expecting a steaming pile of technical incompetence, you've come to the right place. And the star of our first video is this. I'll leave the belch in. I guess I kind of need to do this first, show everybody that the magazine is empty, that the firearm is also empty. I'm not really sure why I need to do that, because unless you broke into my house in the last 5 minutes, it's unlikely I'd be able to shoot you from here. But everyone does it. And, since my ancestry DNA test, revealed that I am 40% Central European, 30% hillbilly, and 30% lemming, I have the follow the crowd gene kind of built into me. And it's not a bad idea. I mean, you don't want to have an accidental discharge. And it's basically, in the current situation that it's in, it's basically Schrodinger's magazine. It's neither loaded or unloaded until you drop the magazine out and look. So a lot of people in the hardcore gun community are not going to be thrilled with this, because it is a Springfield Arms XDS in .45 caliber. And they're not going to be thrilled with the .45 caliber just because a lot of them feel like it is an outdated and superseded round. And in their mind, it's old, fat, and slow. And I'll let you stick whatever joke makes you happiest into that slot. But the main reason a lot of them are going to be unhappy about it is because it is a Springfield Arms firearm. And a few years back, Springfield Arms did something just really, really stupid. There was a bill in the Illinois legislature that would require firearms retailers and manufacturers to not only have a federal firearms license, but an Illinois state firearm license, which would have increased the bureaucracy and increased the expense for retailers and manufacturers. And depending on who you believe, either Springfield Arms or their marketing lobbying wing went to the legislature and said that they would support the bill if they were exempt from it. And the legislature, of course, agreed to that. They needed, to have a gun manufacturer in their pocket. So they agreed to it, and Springfield Arms came out in support of the legislature. And the backlash was intense and immediate. And Springfield Arms immediately started backtracking. They put the blame on their marketing and lobbying side, saying that they knew nothing about this. This was all on these guys, and we're going to disassociate ourselves from them because they did a bad thing. and that everybody needs to call their state legislature and the representative or congressperson or senator and tell them this is a horrible bill and they need to vote against it. And unfortunately, by that time, the damage had been done, and the bill passed in the House of Representatives, and it passed in the Senate. And fortunately, the Illinois governor vetoed it. And they were either unable to override the veto, or they decided that, having seen the backlash that happened to Springfield Arms, they did not want to deal with that themselves. So the bill died. But the stink hung on around Springfield Arms for a long time. It's still there. I saw a YouTuber not that long ago say he would not even buy a used Springfield firearm because he's afraid the person he bought it off of would take the money and go buy a new Springfield Arms firearm. And I always looked at situations like this and kind of follow the Twinkie and the stick approach. And the way that works is somebody does something really, really, really stupid. You take a thick stick and viciously beat them about the head, neck, and shoulders with it. Not literally, figuratively. And in this situation, the thick stick is your wallet, and the beating them about the head, neck, and shoulders with it is you not taking any money out of your wallet and giving it to Springfield Arms. Because Springfield Arms is in the business of making money. Making handguns and rifles is how they make money. And if nobody is purchasing those firearms, they don't make any money. And that gives them an incredible incentive to stop doing whatever stupid thing that they've been doing. And Springfield came out and said, "Oh my God, we're terribly sorry. This should have never happened. We are a pro-Second Amendment company," and they began donating money to different Second Amendment rights organizations and basically just being good boys. And to me, once they start being good boys and they give an indication that they're going to continue to be good boys in the future, that's when you give them the Twinkie, either figurative or literal. Because who doesn't like a free Twinkie? And the other way that you give them a Twinkie is that you start buying their products again. And it's important that you give them the Twinkie, because that's the incentive to change the behavior that you disagree with. If you're just going to keep hitting them over the head with a thick stick, there's no reason to change their behavior. They figure out which one is best for them financially, and they're just going to go with it, regardless of how unhappy that makes you. If you reward them for changing the behavior, it makes the change of behavior happen much quicker, and it's much longer lasting. So I saw this in a gun shop, and I thought that's about what I like. I like the grip. I like the way it sits in my hand. It came with 4 magazines and at least for me, what turned out to be a basically useless holster. It's one of those inside the waistband nylon holsters that the minute you pull the firearm out of it, it just goes flat up against your body. And to reholster the weapon, you pretty much got to take your pants off. And if that's something you enjoy doing, then okay, fine. That'd be a perfect holster for you. Personally, I get a little embarrassed taking my pants off in public. But like I said, it fit all the parameters of what I was looking for. I was looking for a nice carry weapon that had some punch to it. And the place I bought it has a outdoor range, so I bought 100 rounds and went out and put 100 rounds through it. And everything went pretty well. I was getting my usual trash can lid size groupings at 15 yards, which is about par for me. So I loaded everything up and headed for the house, and I, took the gun, loaded it with, defense ammunition, and stuck it in the nightstand drawer. And I didn't forget about it, but I never seemed to have time to get back to it either. And I've had my carry permit for a while, and I bought this mainly to carry. I bought a Alien Gear outside the waistband hybrid holster to carry it in. And I thought, if you're going to carry this thing, you at least need to be proficient with it. You can't just start winging shots at people and hope that the bullets are going to find their way to the intended target on their own. You got to kind of help them out. So anyway, in Indiana, which is the state I reside in, the Department of Natural Resources has a free gun range for citizens, of which I am one. And I like the idea of free as much as anybody else does. So I went to the local big box store and went back to the sporting goods department, and they had 45 caliber ammunition, round nose, and white boxes of 100 rounds each. And I thought, well, I'm very reasonably priced. And I'm not going to mention the name of the store because they no longer carry handgun ammunition. And it's not who you think it is. But anyway, I bought 200 rounds. I figured if these 200 rounds go well, I'll stop on the way home and get 200 more rounds. Hell, I might even do 400. And I bought some shoot and see targets so I could see what I shot. And headed for the range. I had my ears, my eyes, my range bag. I had everything I needed. It was going to be a fun day. So I get out there and I set up on the 10-yard range, take my target to the white barrel, and went back, loaded all my magazines, and started firing. And everything was going perfectly. I mean, the gun performed perfectly. The ammunition was flawless. I was getting smaller than normal, groupings. And I know a lot of you will say that's because I was at a 10-yard instead of a 15-yard, and I prefer to think of it as I'm getting to be a better shot. And we're both probably right. But anyway, I made it through the first 50 rounds without any issues whatsoever, and went through and reloaded all my magazines again. Got through the first 2 magazines with no problems, and got to the 3rd magazine, and the gun went bang, bang, click. And it's not supposed to go click unless you're dry firing it. Those of you that own semi-automatic handguns know that, when it gets to the last round, the slide's supposed to lock back and it's not supposed to make any noise. It's supposed to go bang, 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 lock back. Next 5-round magazine goes in and you continue on. But this one went bang, bang, click. And the problem was that I not only didn't know why it happened, I didn't know how to fix it. And I know a lot of you out there right now are, shaking your head, rolling your eyes, smirking at the screen of whatever device you're watching this on, saying, for God's sake, you had a fail to fire. All you got to do is yada, 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 and then blah, 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 and everything will be fine. For God's sake, what a moron. 3 things. First of all, where were you when I needed you? I mean, information like that has a relatively short shelf life. It's really of no use to me right now. And second, the moron remark was a little bit harsh. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying it's a bit harsh. And third, have you ever done anything stupid? Now, if you answer yes to that question, then what you need to do is you need to dial back the attitude a little bit, peel that smirk off your face and stick it in your pocket, and leave it there until you're perfect. For those of you that answered no, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. What would your grandma think of you for lying like that? But anyway, I'm going to kind of give myself an attaboy here for not looking down the barrel to see where the bullet was. And if you all would like to give me an attaboy for not being that stupid, do me a favor, and when this is all over, hit the subscribe button. Maybe give it a thumbs up. All that stuff helps out with the algorithm and, gets more people to watch it. And it's easier to get people to watch it that way than it is for me to go around and just tell people, face to face, please watch my channel. But anyway, about that time, my pea brain, leaps into action and says, you need to get that round out of there before it goes off and blows your gun up. I don't know why my brain has an accent, but it does. And that didn't seem like the right thing to me. It didn't make a lot of sense, but I figured, that was the only assistance I was getting at that point. So okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And as I reached down to slingshot the round out of it, it went off. without blowing the gun up. Because in the chamber of a firearm is where bullets are supposed to blow up. I had a long talk with my brain afterwards telling it not to be such an idiot. But anyway, about that point, the entire trip to the gun range stopped being any fun whatsoever. I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and a .45 caliber handgun should not be in the hands of somebody that has no idea what they're doing. So at that point, I loaded everything back up in the range bag, loaded me and the range bag and everything in it back up into the car, and went home, vowing to not fire it again until I had had some training. And it's not hard to find trainers. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. And I'm going to leave most of that, or actually I'm going to leave all that to the next video because this is running a little long and I'm expecting way too much out of you people to sit through more than this. I am so thankful to those of you who are still watching right now for being here. And again, you know, if you if you feel this video it was worth something that doesn't cost anything, which is a subscription, please hit the subscribe button and hit a like. And I promise the videos will become more polished, become more watchable as it goes along. And I'm going to edit out as much of the stupidity out of this as I can without completely destroying it. If I edit all the stupidity out, it'd only be a 30-second video. But if the one thing I'm trying to put out there to everybody with this video is if you have never had firearms training, go. You may, be lucky enough to have come from a family that firearms were a part of your everyday life and you were trained on all this stuff as you grew up. I was not. And the training's not that expensive, and if you have the right trainer, it is just so valuable. And it's so worth the time it takes. Most classes are maybe 5 to 8 hours. And they usually come with range time where you're given an opportunity to fire a lot of different firearms. And especially if you haven't bought a firearm yet, by going to the class, it gives you an idea of what the different firearms are like. And it helps you narrow your search when you get ready to go out to buy your own firearm. But like I said, there are some things involved in finding a firearms instructor that I didn't know about when I went out to look for my firearms instructor. And I hope to have another video out within a week to kind of explain what I went through and maybe a way to do it better. Let me put it that way. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will be back soon, I hope. Take care.